Hi. So Felipe and Shanaz, we're actually here to truly talk about the Dakila, upcoming Dakila conference. It's happening in Huntsville, Alabama. So first of all, I'm Shanaz Soni, Felipe here, Felipe Castelo, right? Director of
Yes.
Dakila. And Felipe and I actually met because of Angela Hart. And truly, I enjoy every time when I talk to him. He's actually someone I can contact even when I'm in Mexico struggling with possible COVID. And then I text him and say, Felipe, what should I do? And then he leaves me messages telling me exactly what to do. So I consider you, Felipe, as my friend, my colleague. We both are doing our part in helping humanity in however we can. And today, I think that my goal is that we are going to have this conversation where we are going to go deep dive into Dakila and what they're all about from a perspective for someone who has no clue about anything about Dakila. They're going to learn from the director of Dakila what truly that is. But before I truly go into that, Felipe, I just like to ask you this simple question that what was, because we all have a little bit of a spark in our life growing up that we want to do. When I grow up, what am I going to be? What was your dream when you were a child wondering what you're going to be?
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. And I would like to apologize for the mess here in my home office.
I see that. Makes you look like you're really like a professor who has no time to organize.
Well, this is a mess, but I know everything where it is. I know the location of every single thing here.
Well, that works.
Okay, now going back to your question. Well, since I was a very young child, as far as I can remember, I'm 58 years old, so that people understand the timeline. When I was very young, I used to be always fascinated by everything that concerns space, ships, science fiction, and all these crazy things. And the first shock I had was watching Star Wars. I became amazed. It was 1977, and I spent a whole month going every day to the cinema to watch the film. I was amazed. After that, I began, studying a little bit about UFOs, about, this phenomena, but I was a small child here in Brazil. I didn't really speak English at the time. And when I was 13 years old, a very dear friend of mine had an acquaintance that it was this lady called Irene Granke. She was the most famous ufologist in Brazil, the most famous. She was based in Rio, my hometown. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. And I began frequenting her house, taking courses and about UFOs. And it sort of became like an adopted grandson of her, because my friend and I were very young. We're the youngest of the group. And later on, when I was 18 years old, I helped her. Well, I helped her. I was in the group that found this UFO Research Association in Rio de Janeiro called CISNE, Center for the Investigation on the Nature of Extraterrestrials. And Donna Irene, the lady, Irene Granke, she had many acquaintances and friends all over the world. I'm talking about the early 1980s.
Wow.
Okay, talking about the early 1980s. And she had friends from, like in the States, she were friends with Coral Lawrenson from APRO. She knew Donald Kiro, all these people from the 50s, from the 60s, that did important research. And I became very close to her. And in 1984, I went to study in Europe. And there I became the European representative of the CISNE. And there, through her acquaintances, I got to meet many people, many people. And when I went to university in England, she introduced me to a person, of course, he passed away already, long time ago. His name was Gordon Crichton. He was a former ambassador to China, UK ambassador to China. And he was also the editor of Flying Saucer Review, a very well-respected magazine. And I began to, talk to him, deal with him. I was like the liaison between Mrs. Irene and Gordon Crichton, and I became friends. So it was very interesting to know all these people. He gave me a background,
Right.
that was very useful after.
It's funny that you said 1984 because, there's a book written that's called 1984.
Yes.
And, they have a movie on Amazon as well. And my kids actually in their school, they're required. It's a required reading. And I
Awesome.
I haven't read it, but I have been told by people who have, is that it truly helps you see that how society can fall apart, basically, right? So it's interesting that that was the year when you actually was almost like implementing your calling. You were being groomed. And then isn't it 1987 when we had a harmonic convergence, which was another big milestone?
Well,
do you have like some other opinion on that?
We have different information about it, but
okay.
The important thing is that the planet, well, the Earth, as we know, have been passing, by cycles, smaller cycles and longer cycles, shorter cycles and longer cycles. Okay, many. But the interesting thing now, just to finish my train of thought here concerning these early days, in 1989, I participated together with actually, I didn't participate. I accompanied Mrs. Irene Granke. She was a speaker in a very big conference in Germany called Dialogue with the Universe in Frankfurt. It was like 5,000 people. That was crazy. She was one of the keynote speakers, and I was, accompanied. She was already an old lady then. 70s, in her 70s, late 60s or early 70s already. I don't really remember. And I got to meet people behind the scenes. And one of the persons that, really shocked me was Zecharia Sitchin, the writer of The 12th Planet.
Yes.
He was an old friend of Irene.
Wow.
Miss Granke. He was an old friend of her. And we sat together, and I asked Miss Granke, please speak English, because she was a polyglot. She spoke more than 10 languages,
wow.
fluently. And she usually spoke German with Zecharia Sitchin. And she told me, okay, we usually speak German. I said, please don't speak German. Speak English, because I want to understand,
Right.
And she spoke English to him. And of course, he answered in English. And they were chatting there. I was beside listening, And he was saying, Irene, I cannot write, I cannot speak of many, many information I have, because they are very delicate. They are, they can threaten the current paradigm in a much greater way, than his books already. They were very controversial already. And he said, I cannot really talk openly. And I was like, oh my God, there's something behind that. What do you mean he cannot write about it, he cannot talk about it? What's going on here? You see what I mean? So I already had that in my mind. Well, who really determines what can be said, what cannot be said? So to make things short, okay, I remained in Europe for all these years. Then I opened my business. Before I was an executive in oil companies, in Italy, in Spain, and I had absolutely nothing to do really directly with the phenomena, if you will. But in 1996, December 1996, I was on vacation in Rio, my hometown, for Christmas. And my brother, who was a sound engineer from Berkeley, and he used to live in the States too, and he was there in Brazil for vacation as well. And a friend of him said, Guilherme, that's his name, he said, let's go and see the lecture of this person, Urandir. He's going to talk about his interactions with the 49-dimensional races. And my brother, oh, interesting. I'm going to ask my brother to come along because he loves this subject. So he invited me.
Right.
So we came there. I sat there. I was present in this first lecture of our president, Urandir Oliveira. I sat for a couple of hours and left completely like, my God, this guy is crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about, because I've never heard of anything he talked in his lecture.
Right.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I had years since I
Right.
was a young guy. There's something wrong. But what really shocked me in this presentation is that at the end of the presentation, he said, now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And then I was like, show? Well, let's see what he's going to present here.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I cannot explain. Today, of course, I know what it is, but
Right.
at the time I couldn't explain. I was like, what's going on? I saw a ball of light, approximately half a meter in diameter, like this, coming off the ceiling, like sprouting off the ceiling, like, blah, and it started flying overhead silently, glowing, pulsating slightly. And I was like, what the hell? I've never seen anything like that. Nobody in the room ever seen something like that. We're like shocked. I was like, we didn't drink anything. We didn't take anything. What happened here?
It was
You see what I
physically
mean?
in front of you, like you're saying you were experiencing
Yes.
it yourself.
Yes. It was physically in front, not only me, everybody. We're
Everybody
like, what?
can see it. Okay.
40 people, 30 people in the room.
Wow.
One detail, he didn't turn off the light. The lights were on. And the ball of light was flying around the room. And I was like, come on, this is crazy. Now, what impressed me was the detail of the light. The light didn't shine. If, for instance, a spotlight like this, if I look at it, it hurts my eyes.
Right.
Okay. And it's bright. You see what I mean? This was a dense light, and it didn't propagate the light. You see what I mean? It didn't cast shadows. It didn't propagate the light.
So it was
The
like an
photons
organic
wouldn't-
light. Like what you're saying is it was an organic light because it wasn't artificially created, because the only light we are familiar with, right, are all artificial
Yes.
lights.
Today, I know that is the plasma probes of the 49.
Okay.
You see? So I know what it is today.
So plasma
But
probe is what it's
a
called.
plasma. Yeah, they call, because what the partners call plasma is not what our science calls plasma. It's different. Okay. And that shocked me a great deal. And I went to Urandir and said, Urandir, what is this?
Right.
What's going on? He said, well, the partners authorized me, and they show themselves and show their technologies openly, okay, so that people believe, because everything I say, nobody's going to believe, because it's
That's
totally
true.
different. So they allowed him to do that. Now, he invited me for a meeting, the first meeting in this small little office he opened in Copacabana in Rio. And he said, come with your family. I would like to, talk to you guys and show you something. And I said, okay. The next week we went there, and it was my whole family, my parents, my brother, my sister, my brother's ex-wife, who was a very famous Brazilian actress. She was present there because she loves this subject, this sort of subject. And she wanted, and also my uncles, a couple of my uncles who came along as well. So we got there, he put us in this room, and then he came in the room in order to activate us, okay? When he came in, he was all lit up, fully lit up. I was like, what is this? And I'm a very skeptical person because of my background, and also because I met so many people that, I do this, I do that, but there was always some kind of trick involved.
Right.
He came and he started touching us, okay? And when he touched us, a light appeared in our body and started to move in our bodies, in everybody's bodies. Each person he touched, this little light appeared,
Mm-hmm.
and it moved in the. I was like, no, come on, what kind of trick is this? I was really puzzled. Then when he came to me, he said, Felipe, you have been taken by the partners when you were 5 years old. They have put an implant in the back of your neck. I'm going to slightly activate you, but I have to work on it so that you can reestablish, if you will, exactly, I don't remember the precise words, but it was something like that, connection with them. When he said that, I was thinking, immediately came to my mind, oh my God, he read something about me. He knows that I like the subject. He comes with this crazy things of abduction and this. Come on, I was thinking, I wasn't
Right.
verbalizing.
Like you were using your mind, just like we all do, because of all the
Yes.
brainwashing we have. But I want you to take a quick pause. So one question I want to ask you is the light thing that you guys experienced when you guys were in the conference with him. Is that something that you're planning on able to show it to people when we do Dakila conference?
No, it's not that.
Okay.
I'm not planning to do
You're not
that.
planning on doing it, and I'm
No,
sure
not
there
at
will be-
all. Not at
Okay.
all. The reason in
Mhm.
those days, in those early days, the partners, as we call the the extraterrestrials from these 49 races,
Right.
in the beginning, they had a deal with Urandir. They told Urandir, listen, they trained him since he was a small child, since he was 4 or 5 years old. Okay, they trained him in their technology. Okay. And they came to him and said, we need you to prepare a group of at least 1,444 persons, okay, to speak to us verbally, physically, face to face, as we do to you.
Oh,
Because our plan is completely different, you see.
okay. So that
The
was his
agenda.
mission. Right.
That was his mission.
That was his mission.
Yes.
Now, again, tell me the name of this person, the one whom you're talking about, whose conference you went to.
Urandir Fernandes de Oliveira.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay,
It's
so
complicated.
he's
He's the
Brazilian.
president. He's Brazilian. He's the president of the Dakila research and of the Dakila ecosystem today, because today we have a huge,
It's a much bigger organization. So he's the
much
president.
bigger. Yes,
He's the president.
He's the chairman
So
of the organization.
he was grooming basically for the 144,000 people that he needed to create, right? To follow his own mission.
Not really to follow his own, but to prepare this group of persons to have physical face-to-face interaction with the partners, and the partners would pass on, the not mission, if you will. Yes, the mission. Each one of us that we have been participating in this endeavor, if you will.
Right.
We have a group mission and an individual one.
Yes, which makes sense. It has to be that way.
Yes,
so
you see,
since we're getting into the subject, you're going to have to tell everyone what is exactly partner means. Simple definition.
Okay, simple definition. We call the partners all the extraterrestrials from these 49 races, okay, that we have an alliance with them. And it's so crazy, the MO, it's so different, the MO, that the partner said, okay, we're going to celebrate an alliance. They have trained, they have started this early period of phenomena, manifestations, open manifestations, because they instructed Urandir and helped Urandir to acquire a small farm here, 100 kilometers from where I live, in the highlands of Brazil, Mato Grosso do Sul state, where is a place, because of the minerals, that create vortexes,
wow,
that generate specific frequencies, okay, that facilitate the physical interaction and the training, because we have to, undergo a training given by the partners, okay, individual and group training, okay, and in this training, there are technology from the partners involved. And I'm going to show the videos of this in the presentation,
Okay, so
the technologies they use on us individually, for instance, my individual ones,
right,
as well as group,
Right. So these partners are physical, extraterrestrial that you have interacted physically with. That's why you believe in them, because you have interacted physically with them, right?
First of all, I never use the word believe, never. Okay, because it's not an act of faith, because for us, it's a reality, it's a physical reality. We talk to them, we record them, we film them, You see what I mean? So,
Right. The fact that you can film them already defeats everything because, have you noticed how many times people have seen certain thing, but when they try to capture them in the camera, it's almost like that either the camera is devised for us not to be able to see them because of the fact that the electromagnetic spectrum is outside of the norm of the camera or whatever. But the fact that you can actually show that in a recording of any kind of device, that already is very different than what we have heard before, right? Because people are not able
well,
to capture it.
you see, not only that, okay? Well, we've been doing this for the past 25 years. As a matter of fact, this year we're celebrating 25 years of Dakila. 25 years. So it's a long time. Many things occurred. One thing I can tell you now, I'm going to also be showing you evidence of what occurred in 2002 here in the farm, okay, that you guys should have known because it was researched locally here by a major American investigator journalist that came down here, did the research, took the evidence to the United States to be analyzed by major universities like the University of Pennsylvania and other places. She did it. She proved there was proof of a technology that we do not have. It was proved. She proved it. She told us many times, this is the most incredible case that I ever came across. And yet, for 18 years, she never spoke about it. She spoke about it once in Seattle, but she began being attacked and threatened, and people still, and trying to smear us all the time.
Okay.
Because we are not, people don't see people. I'm saying the powers that be do not see us, with good eyes. Why? Because they know that we have this physical interaction. There are hundreds of people, not only me or Ranji or a few people, hundreds of people that speak to these beings physically, verbally, face to face. There are encounters, conversations we have with the partners in the farm where there are 200 persons present, everybody recording, filming, and so it's something unique that should be known all over the world.
I agree. I 100% agree. And the fact is that that's the life that you're living for the last 25 years. And you feel like that if you don't share this to the world, then you're not doing the justice because people like you, because you had a curiosity from the childhood, right? Of trying to understand that whether this science fiction movie has any reality to it. You're kind of living in a real science fiction movie yourself, just by virtue of interacting, right? Interacting with these
yes.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, as far as your entire Dakila organization goes right now, how much, if you have to give me the number of people that's part of Dakila, what's that number?
Okay, it's kind of hard because we have a huge follow here in Brazil. I won't say follow. We have different categories. We have those involved in the Dakila structure, institutional structure, because you see, our approach is completely different. This is what people have to understand, which is unique, okay?
Yes.
The partners, for instance, they instruct us. They have instructed us. You guys have to build several companies in order to start introducing technologies that they have been passing to us. We have 123 technologies from them that we have been trying to introduce. That's why we used companies like beauty companies and stuff like that to introduce their technologies to benefit concretely humanity. But in the recent years, we had a little bit difficulty in Brazil, and we were kind of afraid to patent certain of these technologies, especially agricultural technologies that are going to revolutionize how we produce food, the electric generators, free energy, if you will, and specific genetic. I cannot really talk openly about it, but I can sort of speak, about them superficially. Right. Genetic technology to extend our life. When I say extend our life, I'm talking about hundreds of years. I'm not talking about to live 100 years. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking a revolutionary, you know, genetic technology, if you will, because it's a long story, you know, to contextualize, you know, basically our genetic makeup was manipulated by another race that have nothing to do with the 49, with the partners. These guys have manipulated our genes. And because of that, shorten our lifespan too much.
Right,
You know, we
right.
used to live much more. And there was no disease. It was very different. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what the partners are trying to do is to introduce technologies in order to counter it. And here in Brazil, unfortunately, it's a country that have our politicians, many of them are very corrupt. They try to interfere with us. They try to hinder our progress to introduce this technology. Now, I cannot contextualize what it went behind the scenes, but in this past year, we have cut a deal with the leadership of the United Emirates, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
And for months now, we have been building there a base. We are beginning to produce, using the partners' technology, vines to produce a wine. This is, of course, is for PR matters, you know. We're going to release the first wine made in the Emirates with the technology of the partners, the agricultural technology of the partners of growing food in the desert.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we are beginning with that. We also, as a matter of fact, we just came from Dubai now in July, our second or third trip this year in order to really establish this partnership. Not only a partnership, now we have incorporated a company, a Dakila Research in Dubai, in the Emirates. Through this company, we're going to patent all this because we're going to have the protection, if you will, of the Emirates leadership. They are eager to see this, you see? This technology is being introduced, and also the genetics lab. We're beginning to build their genetics lab. We're going to do all this through the Emirates because of this facility, you see?
So let me ask you this. So first of all, so I have two questions. One is, I want to understand the ultimate reason partner is grooming human beings like yourself to avail all these goodies like technology and extension of life and all of that, because what's in it for them? So that's my one question. The other question I have is that if the partners are already like so much more advanced than we are, right, then they truly understand like whom to trust, whom not to trust, because our entire earth or our entire world is contaminated and corrupted. And that's the reason we are where we are today, right? And of course, we're trying to do a damage control now because people like you and me and lots of other people are realizing that we're in shithole and we got to do something.
Yes, you said it right. Shanaz, one thing that we have to understand, it's paramount for us to understand. According to the partners, for instance, this earth, okay, it's a matrix. It's a fake, fabricated world. I'm not saying that what we see is a hologram. This is it's not true. This is not. It doesn't work like this. When I say this fabricated matrix, is that a group of extraterrestrials, not from here, known as the Anunnakis. They are third-dimensional beings. They are flesh and blood, just like us, same density. They are not like the partners. The partners, they do not have the same density as we have. They come from the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth dimension. Yes, through technology, through their technology, they can alter the MDPL of their bodies. MDPL being magnetism, density, pressure, and light. They can change it, and they can adjust the MDPL to the parameters of the third dimension. Therefore, they can interact with us physically, fully dense. just like they are all humans, by the way, huh? Of different sizes, different sizes.
So can they shapeshift? Like what you're saying, can they shapeshift?
Yes, they can shapeshift, but when I say shapeshift, we call it the transfiguration technology. There are many books that talk about transfiguration. Okay, it is the same technology, it's the technology of transfiguration. Nevertheless, they can only change up to 15 to 20% of their real appearance.
Oh.
Okay, so all this this information that we get, oh, I met this shape-shifting reptilian that becomes a human. This is fantasy. This is to make people afraid of the phenomena. Unfortunately, Hollywood is involved in a smearing campaign and also in a programming campaign to make people afraid of the ET phenomena, of ufology, of spaceships, thinking that they are either here to invade us, they are either here to, I don't know, to abduct us, probe us, test us like sheep. Well, it's not really like that, It's not really like that. Even though this group of physical third-dimensional extraterrestrials known as the Anunnakis, they have been present here for 450,000 years, okay? They were responsible for the fabrication of us, this body, of many human races, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, all this. These are all fabrications of this group of beings, okay? Unfortunately, our science it's not really science anymore. It became a religion with dogmas that nobody can contest. We've seen this really dramatically, in the past 2 years. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to mention it.
Right.
Because otherwise they cut your video, they censor you.
Okay,
but it's obvious, this manipulation now.
Yeah,
it's very obvious.
So it's interesting, right? Because science is definitely like as a rational mind that we're born with. We want to make sense out of things, which is why science is needed. But sometimes science can be constraining because people are very much limited in their thinking, and it's almost becomes a religion by itself, like you said. I want to understand when you use the word fabrication, because I feel like there's a reason you're using that specific word. And I really like the way you said about the shape-shifting as transfiguration, with the very fact that there is a limitation on how much any being can shapeshift, because it's not like you can go, like you can't go, Felipe, from you to me. I mean, you have to have some sort of parameter, right, that enables you to shift to a certain extent.
One, you need to have a very high brain activity in order to do it. Okay? Why? Because our thought is a modulating wave.
Very good.
Thought is a modulating wave. The modulating waves, as the partners are teaching us, is a concept. The partners call it one of the fundaments of nature, that is applied not only to our third dimension, but also to theirs. You see what I mean? It's the same principle. Now you ask me, what's in for the 49 races?
Right.
Why are they here?
Exactly. Why are they helping you? Yeah.
I would tell you. The Anunnakis, this group, after the last deluge, 15,000 years ago, Noah's deluge, as people know, these guys, they consolidated the control here on Earth for many reasons. I don't have time here. I'm going to spend the whole night here explaining.
I understand.
But they were afraid, very much afraid. This you can see in parts of Genesis and in many books of Sitchin. When the Anunnaki leadership said, there's this particular race, one of the races fabricated by the Anunnakis. Many people believe there are certain writings of Sitchin saying that when the Anunnakis landed here, they got a local simian, manipulated them genetically, and created and thus, transformed them in humans, for instance. Wow. The partner said it's not true. It didn't occur this way. They fabricated from scratch, okay, because they have very advanced genetic technology. They fabricated various races. But after the deluge, 14,000 years ago, what happened? There was confusion between them, like a dispute between them, and they needed to fabricate a more developed human, a more sophisticated human in order to operate certain sophisticated machinery, okay? And when this occurred, the 49 races, they already knew it. You see, it's such a long story. It's hard to contextualize, but I'm going to try.
Right.
The 49 races knew that was going to happen, okay? So they approached the geneticist of the Anunnakis, the chief geneticist, Enki, that's his name, known
Right.
by people. They approached him and said, would you like to fabricate a more sophisticated human? We can share our technology with you. And you can fabricate a new type of human, much more sophisticated, beautiful, and that can manipulate sophisticated machinery, intelligent. And they left this encoded in rocks, okay? And they left it encoded in a huge rock in the Amazon. We have been there, we have filmed it, we have crazy stuff
Wow.
there.
What is this rock called?
There's no name because Dakila found it.
Oh.
We found it. Nobody. It's known. We have talked about it.
Right, right.
But we are beginning, Shanaz. It's the period we live in now. It's a very interesting period. Why? Because many things that the partners told us about our, for instance, our origin, our history, the presence of the Anunnakis, you know, here in South America.
Right.
They told us many years ago, and they don't only tell us. That's why their motto is seek knowledge. They tell us, don't believe us, go and do the research.
Right, exactly. I think that's the best.
That's how they tell us. That's why we had to build an observatory in the city we're built in. That's why we have to go and do many expeditions. We have to do many things because they don't give us, they don't spoon feed.
No, which I'm glad they don't, because otherwise you're not going to be truly understanding the depthness of this. So I know, like, it seems to me that I may have to do this more often, because like you have just opened the Pandora's box for me right now, because I have so many questions. But what I want to ask you, okay, so going back to you explaining me that why a partner was helping Anunnaki to make us more sophisticated, like what was their goal for that?
I would tell you, the partners, the problem is this. I'm going to be very candid here, right?
Yeah.
The 49 races, the 49 dimensional races,
right,
they have reached, I'm sorry, I cannot detail it. I'm going to throw at you.
Right.
The 49 dimensional races, they are humans. They are our older brothers, okay? Their technology, so that you can sort of begin to grasp, to taste, the huge gap, that we have is 15 billion with a B years ahead of ours.
Wow.
15 billion years. They are 15 billion years. They told us that. It's not, we are thinking. No, they told us. We are 15 billion years ahead of you guys. Our technology for you, we cannot explain, because for you it's like magic. You don't understand our technology. So what do they do? As a matter of fact, it's very funny. They speak in perfect Portuguese with us. Of course, it's totally verbal exchanges. And we have focus groups in Dakila. We have the political group, the technology group, the health group, they have many, the genetic group. There are many groups that meet with different partners that teach us and pass on different sort of information. I belong to many of these groups. So I'm, privy to to a lot of the information.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing is this. Okay, as I said, I'm going to just throw it.
Yes, throw it, please.
The 49 races, they are 49 human races, all right?
Okay.
They are the apex. They have reached the apex of evolution in the universe's where the modulating waves are the principle of life.
Okay.
They have reached the apex. They are the top of the top of the top in universes, dimensions. As far as I know, many of the partners, they go up to the 13th dimensional. They have some from the 13th dimension, from the 9th, from the 7th, from the 8th. Through technology, they can sort of interact with themselves, among themselves. But they have reached the apex of evolution.
Okay.
And they were like, how are we going to, jump to higher realms? That they don't talk to us about it because you cannot understand. It's a
Right.
waste of time. However, time for them, it doesn't exist really, For
Right.
them, future,
Time
past.
yeah, time is only like for us to trace each other into material
Yes.
existence for 3D. It doesn't truly
Exactly.
need it for other dimensions.
Exactly.
So what you're telling me is that the 49 races, which is called partners, they are our future human self, 50 billion years ahead. They have come here partly because they know that we are, they used to be us at one point. So that's why there's a connection, and that's why they give a damn about us. And that's why they manipulated Anunnaki in fabricating us to be more sophisticated than we could have been.
Well, more or less. Why they are so
Just to sum it up for myself.
Okay, I'm going to sum it up, because there are a lot of details,
Yes.
in order to really contextualize this.
Yes, and I just want to make sure that I at least got what you said. Yeah.
Okay, the thing is this, okay? They have reached this apex. They cannot evolve anymore.
Okay.
But I'm going to repeat the words that I listened,
Right.
They came to us and they said, we have identified that in a specific quadrant of they don't call space. They say that our knowledge of space is zero. Zero. This is 100% wrong. They call it space, a totally different thing. Okay? And they say that they were beginning to sort of envision what really is because of dark matter. They said that dark matter you're going to begin to understand, but they say that our knowledge is highly manipulated in order for us to not realize reality. So they have identified in this specific quadrant that a mutation was going to occur. And this mutation would produce, beings that would be able to manifest, to express 100% of emotions. When I say 100% of emotion, I'm talking about crying, feeling. It's not that. It's the intensity of the emotion, which is a very powerful energy, they say.
Yes, because
they do not have. Nobody anywhere has more than 10% to 15% of the expression of emotions. Nobody. The only place in creation, everywhere, in any dimension, also in any universe, it's here on Earth. The only place. That's why you're so precious for them, because of our emotions. We are the only ones that can manifest 100% emotion. And how did this come about? Because of this manipulation of the Anunnakis. When the Anunnakis manipulated our genes, they cut 2 genes from us in order to reduce our lifespans and many things, because the Adamic race, this is the name of the new race that Enki, the Anunnaki geneticist, fabricated with the aid of the genetic technology of the 49 races. The 49, they knew what was going to happen. So they approached Enki, passed on technology, genetic technology. Enki fabricated this new race that we know. The name is the Adamic race. This is in the Bible, in Genesis. This is also in many writings, the Sumerian writings. There are a lot of writings. If you sort of connect the dots, you're going to understand roughly what happened. So the Enki, the Anunnaki, fabricated this Adamic race. And unlike historians think that the Anunnakis, they were interacting in the Middle East, not really. Their main base was in the Amazon. They have occupied ancient ruins from the Muriel race. The Muriel race, it was an alien race, an extraterrestrial human race linked to the 49 races that they were present here on Earth 250 million years ago. And they have built a major capital that's called Ratanabá. And this capital is buried in the Amazon forest. And we're beginning to disclose it. We are already disclosing the outskirts of Ratanabá, which are above the ground. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, we just released the LiDAR technology, the laser scanning that Dakila did, the first research institution that used LiDAR in the Amazon. It's us. A German group used in the Bolivian Amazon. And we don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for this, but they don't know where to go. You see what I mean? And the funny thing is that we have found many artifacts. I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to have the proof in a while because it's an ongoing research.
Right.
We have found elongated skulls in the Amazon, in caves in the Amazon.
Yes.
The elongated skulls that are found in the Andes, okay, in Ecuador, in Peru, and in some other places around the world, okay, they are genetically descendant from the Anunnakis because the Anunnakis, they have the elongated skull.
And I have known many people growing up in Pakistan, like female, they had elongated skull, and we looked at them as like they were a little weird looking. But now I feel like that, wow, it makes sense.
These people have more genes.
Oh, that's what it means.
Anunnaki genes. That's why they are sort of closer descendants from the Anunnakis, to the Anunnakis, yes. Now, what happened is this. These people, they are descendants. Now, we have found caves in the Amazon. We're not disclosed. As a matter of fact, we are doing right now this research. But we have found elongated skulls with the skeletons, but they are 4 meters high, tall, 4 meters tall. They are huge beings.
Wow.
Many of these beings. These were Anunnakis that died here. And we also find smaller ones, elongated, but there are smaller ones. They are the Igigi. These are the partners call them the rebellious race that fought with the Anunnaki.
It's interesting you mentioned something because I was in one of the Lazarus Initiative talking to Michael Tellinger, and Michael Tellinger, right?
Michael Tellinger, yes.
Yes,
he's good,
he actually mentioned the very thing you're saying. He actually mentioned that they truly have discovered the tall beings, and I think it was elongated skull, but I can't remember exactly. But he truly wanted to understand that how does that connect to our origin and our, where do we come from, basically, right? Because that's
he connects to this, that the Anunnaki race, they are third dimensional. This is very important for people to understand. They are third dimensional beings, same density as ours.
Okay.
They arrived here 450,000 years ago. They have fabricated humans, many races, okay? And they have fabricated, with the aid of the 49, the Adamic race, okay? 1/3 of the planet, the population of the planet, carry Adamic genes, 1/3 of the population. These people are linked to the 49, okay? And the 49 are here to help. Of course, their agenda is this emotion. They need this emotion, okay? I'm not going to advance much about it, but what I can tell you is this. The 49 races, with their knowledge of the Lilarial science, this is how they call their science.
Okay.
They call it the Lilarial science. With their knowledge, together with the 100% of expression of emotion, what happens when you reach this stage? You resonate with what we understand as God. Okay? You resonate when you get the emotion with their knowledge.
Right, right. So
Okay?
that's the combination.
Together,
Right.
this combination, who gets this combination resonates 100% with God. Okay? And what is the difference for them? What difference does it make for them? In this stage, they can, by resonating with God, they can jump to higher realms of evolution that they don't explain us what it is.
And that's exactly what everybody's looking for. And even though the words are different, like people may use the word ascension or many other words, and that's okay because everybody's way of grasping this is different. But what you're saying is that that is the optimum state we can reach within the form that we are here in this confined form by resonating at that frequency and vibration where we are truly exhibiting kind of God in that sense, right? With the combination of the emotion that's already part of us. I wanted to ask you that if somebody wants to know whether they fall in that 1/3, like you said, what is the gauge? Like, how do you know you are that 1/3?
Well, the partners tell us this. Well, today, of course, because of the mix of races, the partners say that it's more people. It's not really 1/3. They said it's more because of the mixture of races, especially here in Brazil. Sorry, Shanaz.
No, that's okay. And I probably will have to wrap up. However, what I'm going to do, we're going to have to come back here again because there's too much to talk about because I was supposed to be somewhere. So I'm going to try to wrap up, but I want to make a point here. Okay, so what was your response to that? That how do we know whether we are 1/3?
Okay. Now, the partners say this. Basically, is they call these people that carry these genes the difference. They are the difference. They are people who are not like sheep, you know. They don't follow trends. They are inquirers. They are always asking why this. They are not. They don't conform.
Right.
They are the new heretics.
That makes sense.
Basically, is that.
Yeah. So, like, you know, if you watch the movie I, Robot, right? In the I, Robot movie, there's a Sunny, which is one of the robot that dreams, right? That questions, that stands out compared to all other robots.
Exactly.
So that's what you're talking about. That's
I'm talking about that. Yes. Also, they gave us a few things in order to identify who has, how can I call it? Active mutant genes, positive, huh? Because they say the junk DNA is the Adamic heritage, okay? Science do not understand, okay? Our junk DNA.
Misleading name because it's
exactly, it's terrible.
That's where all the goodness lies. That's where
exactly. And some of these genes, they are active, okay? They are active in some people, and they told us, for instance, if you can you see my fingers? If you can do this,
yes.
See, if you can do this, or the tongue.
Like your finger basically bends at a different place.
Yeah,
yes.
The tip of your finger, like this, the tip.
Yes.
You see? This, or like this, the tongue.
Oh, that's
like
interesting.
this.
So that's a giveaway that you are one of that 1/3.
No. The 1/3, basically, we don't really we don't know how to gauge, really. We don't really care. Partners say, don't worry about it. People that carry these genes, they will feel drawn because they already think in a different way.
That is
they
true.
think in a different way. They'll come.
They'll come by default.
Now, these that I'm showing you are those that carry these Adamic genes, but they have active mutant genes. Okay? This is positive. They increase our brain activity dramatically.
Okay.
You see? And also when you move like this, you see the ear? I can use like this. This too. And also this. I don't know if you can see. Let me try. You see the lines? These two lines here.
Yes, I see that.
See that?
Yes.
That too.
Yes.
These are signs.
Wow.
That the partner said. You see what I mean? It is.
That is
It's
so
crazy.
So I know that we've already spent 1 hour and we can talk forever. So here's the deal. I'm going to
Okay.
definitely take a pause here. We may have to do this again, but what
Okay.
I'm going to conclude this is that based on whatever we did in this 1 hour is that it's pretty obvious that you have so much to share. And so, because for the last 25 years, you've been doing this and you're trying to share that in whatever one day, few hours here and there. So of course, you're going to be pretty much scratching the surface when you share, even in that one day conference. So
Yes.
anybody who is remotely interested in trying to understand our origin, what we are, where we are going, then they should truly give it a little bit of a thought. Come and check it out because they'll have opportunity to ask questions from you. And they will also be able to collect a lot of data that you have collected that you're going to be sharing with them.
Yes.
So I think that all seems to me that it should be worth $75 for one day. And people should be able to fly and come and see you as well, because that sounds like that's what I would do. So I'm going to end this for now. And as I said, I may have to come back again because I have so many questions, but we have to pause it here. But thank you very much. And it has been fun. My goodness. So yes, thank you.
Yes, Shanaz, I would love really, my sincere wishes is to see you down here so that you would experience all this for yourself.
Oh, I would love to.
Because of your background, you are able to, to have a different, how can I say, you would see in a different way. You would help us sort of format to package all this info to people.
I would love that. Yes, you're right.
Now, are you recording still?
I'm actually going to stop recording and then we can talk more.
Please, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you something.
But thank you very much. And here we are.